Hey everybody, and thanks for tuning in for my first Q&A live stream. I've done live videos before, as some of you would have seen, but I thought for a change I'll do a Q&A live so you guys can ask me any questions you have, and I'll give the best answers that I can. So if you do have any questions, just let me know in the chat box. Some of you did email me on YouTube and Instagram as well, so I've got all those here and I'll go through these as well. So if you got anything to ask, just let me know there and I'll see it straight away. So first we'll start from Hardy S. How did you become so good at making all the Persian recipes? Well, I'll be honest, as a kid, I never really knew how to cook Persian food and it always looked very complicated. I don't know, Middle Eastern parents, they don't like to give you their recipes. They always say, oh, I'll do it by the eye. So there's never actual any recipes. So what happened is when we opened our first Persian restaurant, I learned from the chef that we had at the time. Now, in the meantime, thanks to YouTube, I actually learned a lot from there. That's also one of the reasons why I started YouTube, is because there wasn't that many recipes in English. So I know there's a lot of you that needed help, so that's when I started my YouTube channel. Thanks for joining the Phantom's Guest and Monkey Doll Queen. Next question is from CH. Hi, Henry, where were you raised? What is your favorite holiday? Thank you for sharing your recipes. Your presentations are always enjoyable to see. Thank you very much for that. So I was born and raised in Perth in Western Australia. So I'm a Westie. So we moved here to Sydney when I was 12. So the majority of my life I've actually been in Sydney. So although I'm actually from Perth, in a way, I'm sort of from Sydney now. But I haven't forgotten my roots. I still love my hometown. My favorite holiday, honestly, as a chef, it's very hard to take holidays. So the couple of times that I have taken holidays, the problem is I can never switch off anything about work. So the last time I was on holiday was in LA, actually, LA and Vegas. So I was there for about 2 months. And it took me about 2 weeks to actually switch off and forget about the restaurant completely. Now, in doing so, I didn't want to come back, to be honest. America and Australia is completely different. Like, the lifestyle is different. The food is different. I mean, if I could move there, I would. And, you know, maybe one day I will. Who knows? A lot of you say open a restaurant in the States. Maybe your wish will come true. Who knows? Thanks to Charles, Richard, JAZZVEH for tuning in. Next one is from Basbusa911. Can you do a basic list and show what your pantry spice essentials favorites are? In this video, I won't be able to do that just because I'm sitting down. But essentials-wise, look, I keep a bit of everything, to be honest, because you never know what you need. So when I first actually started in the restaurant industry, I went and bought a spice rack, like a really, really cheap one, and I filled it up with things I've never even heard of. And garam masala was actually one of the first things. And I actually created a chicken dish at our Italian restaurant using garam masala and Italian herbs. Now, we did that with a sun-dried tomato pesto sauce. It was actually a very popular seller. So my advice is keep a bit of everything. You can make your own things as well. You can go from scratch and make your own curry powder as well. So it's always good to have a bit of everything. Next question is from Buddy Mac. How did you get started in cooking? How have COVID lockdowns affected your restaurant and motivation? Okay, that's a good question. I was waiting for someone to ask that. So I got started in cooking when I was 18 from a professional point of view. As a kid, I always did like to bake. I always watched cooking shows on TV. At the time, my favorites were Huey and Jeff Jans. Now, these are Australian chefs. Some of you may know about them, some of you may not. And I was always interested in cooking. It was very interesting. It was very practical. You know, you could do anything. And the truth is there's no right or wrong way. You can create anything you want. That's all there is to it. So there is no right or wrong recipe. I share my ideas. I don't say they're right. I don't say they're the best. But that's my take on it. How have COVID lockdowns affected you? Well, the last round of lockdowns actually in Australia, I should say New South Wales in my state, as it was really bad. So it started on a Saturday, actually. We happened to be booked out that night as well. It was around 2 o'clock in the afternoon that we got word that we won't be able to open normally for service. Now, it took about half an hour for us all to clarify that and understand what's going on. And obviously, the first thing I had to do was call all my bookings, say, look, under the circumstances, we can't open. We will be open for takeaway if you want to come and order takeaway. I did tell my staff to still come because we would have to pack everything up. I did feel bad as well, giving my staff 2 hours notice that you can't come in. So I said, look, I mean, you never know, we might be really busy. And as it turned out, we were ridiculously busy, more than I expected. So I think it was around 2 hours after we opened, I was ready to walk out because I was so stressed out. And takeaway orders that just keep on coming, the phone keeps on ringing, and it just drives you insane. Touch wood, actually, it's been very busy during lockdown. In some days, we were actually busier than we would have been in a normal open restaurant. So it was a very interesting experience. I really have so many things to consider now as how I'm going to keep on operating. Because as you know, there's a lot of labor costs when you have seating. As you can see all around me, we have a big restaurant. So to keep the staff on, to keep, linen, plates, everything, it's a lot of work. Takeaway is obviously much, much easier. So that's something to consider. We'll see how we go. At the moment, we are out of lockdown, sort of. We can open, basically, we can have one person for every 4 square meters. So I can have around 50 people in my restaurant. At the moment, some days I have to refuse bookings because I don't have the staff, honestly. So staff right now is very hard to find. Not just the hospitality industry. Hospitality, there was 20,000 jobs in my state alone. So obviously our international borders are closed at the moment, so there's no students coming. So labor's very hard to find at the moment. But we'll just have to take it as it comes and see what happens. Stuart Ann said, would you rather have to fight off 100 duck-sized horses or 1 horse-sized duck? Now, I saw this question, it says 23 hours ago here, but it would have been about, say, 15 hours ago that I saw this question. And I was at work and I was talking to my brother about it, and it really got me thinking. And until now, I'm still thinking about it because I don't know the answer. So I'll leave that one for now, and maybe I'll come back to that after. But good question. Buddy Mac, what's the top-selling dish that you cook? Could you improve it? What are your suggestions for home cooks wanting to make Persian food? Okay, the top-selling dish in my Persian restaurant, I would say it would be the lamb kubi there. Now, for any of you not familiar with this, it's a mince kebab made with lamb. It's a staple of Persian cuisine. It's somewhat similar to Turkish Adana kebab, just different spices. So it's not something that everybody can make. Obviously, you see how hard it is to skewer it. A lot of you send me questions saying, oh, the mince is falling off and I can't skewer it or things like that. So that does take a lot of practice. So it's sort of unique. So not everyone can do it. There are some people, they look at it and go, oh, they look like nice sausages. But if they really knew the effort that goes into it, it's a lot of work. Could you improve it? Look, every day, I don't say I have the best kubi there. I don't say I have the best Persian restaurant. I don't say anything stupid like that because it's a lie. I don't. I do always think about ways I can improve my recipes. So sometimes I'll make small batches of it just for myself or my staff to try. And I'll play with the spices. I'll see what works. You need to remember, based on your demographics, you need to adjust your recipes. So if you're in the Middle East, for example, you need to use more spices. Here in Australia, I don't use that many. Same would be, I reckon, in the States. So you need to look at your demographics and adjust your recipes accordingly. You can't just say, this is how I'm going to do it, because you need to bring your customers in. They need to like your food, and they need to come back for it. Most importantly, they need to tell their friends to try it. So, yeah, you always got to improve it. Suggestions for home cooks wanting to make Persian food. Look, give it time. I mean, a lot of you always ask me about the kubi there, how it falls off the skewer. Keep on practicing. It took me about 6 months just to get it onto the skewer and stay. And it probably took me another 6 months to get the perfect ridges on the skewer. Practice makes perfect. That's all I can say about that. So don't give up. Just keep on trying. Okay, I'll just say hello to Joel, JTJ, Claude1234, Edward Paranauer, Reza Onmyotain, Beta Karami, Saeed Ali Hamza, Bonafide Bloom, or Jessica, hey, how are you? And Lookafella17. So I'll get to your questions once I finish with these ones. Sunset says, what is your favorite dinner and dessert? All right. I knew one of you would ask me this. So dinner-wise, look, it depends on my mood. My favorite cuisine is Asian food, believe it or not. It's not Middle Eastern. So Chinese food I go crazy over. Dessert. Okay, this is a tough one. So firstly, I'm lactose intolerant, so I need to be careful with my desserts. But I don't care, because when someone puts a chocolate mud cake that's rich in front of me, I'm not going to say no. Now, my latest obsession has been Ben & Jerry's, and I'm eating tubs of that, say, once a week, all on my own, and I shouldn't be, but yeah, that's irresistible. So favorite recipes, favorite desserts, anything chocolate-based I can really go for. I'm not really a fan of cheesecakes. I mean, I do like the base, but it just doesn't work for me. I prefer like a floury cake, like a mud cake. Custard I love, mousse I love. Once again, things I shouldn't be having, but they're amazing, so I have to take that risk. La Vie en Bleu. Which country has the best gastronomy? From a professional point of view, you would have to say the French, Italians, even the Japanese. They have the best gastronomy. It doesn't mean they have the best food, but their techniques. And techniques is what's very important. So, like I said, Asian food is my favorite. But I mean, at the same time, every sort of country has its own way of gastronomy. So I can't say there's a good or bad, actually, about that. La Vie en Bleu also says, what is your favorite dishes? So when it comes to Chinese cuisine, for example, which is my favorite, I'll always have a honey chicken and fried rice. That would be my last meal if I was ever in jail on death row. I could live off that. In saying that, also stir fries, anything Chinese based. Those of you that know me well know I hate seafood. I can't stand seafood. That's why I don't really cook with seafood unless I have to in the restaurant. But I really don't like it. I just can't. Even I try and push myself sometimes. I just can't do it. And to tell you the truth, a lot of things I haven't even tried. So, say I think it was about 8 years ago, we had a function and they had requested crab legs actually for that function. And we happened to get some. And while I was cooking it, I thought, I'll give it a try. I mean, if I'm cooking this and serving this, the customer needs to be happy with this. So I took one crab leg, gave it a try, and I was like, oh, this is really amazing, actually. Like, it was really fresh, really nice. But I can't see myself sitting there and eating that as a meal. So that's just not me. I can't do it. Now, fish and chips I can handle, okay? If it's battered. If it's grilled, I can't handle it. What else? I haven't tried oysters before. I haven't tried mussels before. Believe it or not, I've never tried a prawn or a shrimp. And maybe accidentally I have, but not on purpose. And I like to keep that way. La Vie en Bleu also says, which country would you like to visit and why? Honestly, one of the countries I'd like to visit next would be London. I've been to the States many times, but I've mostly been to LA, Vegas. I would love to go to New York. Obviously, there's a big culinary world there. So hopefully one day I'll be able to do that, or one day soon. We'll see when things go back to normal, when the world goes back to normal. And I think I need to renew my passport because it's been a long time. Okay. So Edward Patano says, hi, brother. I've been using your kufte kebab, but I want to know what is the most famous beef kebab. Would you tell us? Look, famous, well-known. There's a lot of different things. The Persian kubide is very famous and very well-known. Some people do make it with beef mince. Some people make it with lamb mince. And very popularly, it's also 50-50. In my case, we do all lamb because in my restaurant, we serve it as lamb. So you can't mix beef in there because you're going to upset a lot of people. In saying that, the Turkish Adana kebab is also very popular. Once again, it's usually lamb, but a lot of people do 50-50, just like the kubi there. So they are popular. I mean, I love it. I know a lot of you do as well. Reza says, can you share the contacts of your kebab grill supplier? Look, this is a question I get asked a lot. So our grill, I got it imported from Iran. So we had a contact there that organized that for us. So depending on where you're located, I would say talk to a Middle Eastern importer exporter. It's not a Persian design or anything. It's all the Middle East uses it. A lot of the restaurants here uses it. A few restaurants we went to in LA, they had the same exact grill. So talk to a supplier like that, an importer exporter. Maybe talk to a local restaurant near you. They might be willing to help you out. Saeed Ali Hamza says, hello, chef. I hope you will make Bahraini meat tikka for your followers. It is the best tikka ever. Okay, I'll definitely keep that in mind. Thanks for that. Bonafide Bloom, Jessica, what's your favorite cuisine that's not what you cook yourself in a restaurant? So obviously that's Chinese food. I have cooked it before. I have done a few videos on it, but I can't perfect it like they do. Once again, all comes down to techniques. I followed the same recipe, but it doesn't come out the same. So they know something that I don't. They know the techniques. So that's that. Other than that, I mean, Italian food I love, but the thing is I can cook Italian food myself. Same with Middle Eastern. I can cook it myself, but I do still like to go out and try new places. So I'm not against new people or anything. We all have to support each other in this industry. Rockefeller17 says, have you ever done a barbecue brisket? Any recommendations on cooking it? So I haven't done a recipe, I don't think, on brisket. I did one a long time ago that I did in the wood-fired oven in my Italian restaurant. That was really a quick video. So look, brisket, you got to cook very, very slowly. It's got a lot of muscles, so you need to really break that down slowly. I will probably do a video on it. With that, I wanted to do it at home using a smoker rather than at the restaurant because not everyone has an oven like mine. So I wanted to make that easy for you guys. Haizan says hello. Hello. Adele says Sabaho. Sorry, I don't know what that means. Just let me know. Frashitude says hi from Belgium. Hello, thanks for watching. So Stephen Virasami says, hey, I want to get more into Middle Eastern food. Can you give me some advice on how to dive into this? Definitely. So Middle Eastern food, it's not just kebabs, it's not just meat. There's a lot of vegetarian dishes. Falafel, for example, it's very, very popular. Actually, someone here I saw mention falafel too. So I would start off with sort of diced meat kebabs. So chicken, lamb, beef, you can dice those and skewer them. That way they're not falling off the skewer like the mince could be there or the Adana is. So I would try those recipes first so you can get familiar with the techniques, cooking times, most importantly, the flavors you're using, so spices, marinades, and etc. So definitely do that. Now you can also look into doing sort of slow cook dishes like curries and lamb shanks and things like that. So you're not limited to just kebabs. Give everything a try. Sasan Yazdani says, interesting you don't like seafood. Well, you know, I always kept that a secret. I never really told anyone because I'm embarrassed. Like, if as a chef you go and say, I don't like seafood, I don't eat seafood, they won't take you seriously. So that's a secret for you guys. So I trust you a lot. Hi Fly. Hey buddy, quick shout out from a fellow Armenian living in Paris, France. Love your channel and your awesome videos. If you're ever in Paris, would love to meet you for coffee. Thanks for that. Definitely one day. If I ever do come to Paris, I really want to do a full Euro trip, not just Paris. Like, there's so many places there I need to go. So hopefully one day I'll keep that in mind. Thanks for the offer. Stephen Virasamy says, I've seen your Fussenjun video so many times. I love it, but I'm finding it too tight. Can you help me out, please? So this is a very interesting one. This comes back to your demographics. So in my case, the people around me don't really like sweet food. It's more, say, spiced. So with Fussenjun, obviously there's pomegranate molasses in it, which is very, very sour, which is why it's tart. So if you want to correct that, add a touch of sugar and you'll give it a bit of sweetness. I've done that a few times. I did trial and error it with sugar in my restaurant before we put it on the menu. So add a bit of sugar to it and do it based to your likings. So Bonafide Bloom, Jessica, tips with keeping food warm at home without drying things out, and any tips to flipping food in a pan. All right, flipping food in a pan really comes from experience. So the first few times you'll do it, it's going to fall out of the pan. That's fine. Just be careful with it. Keep practicing. It's all in the wrist. So I know I have a few videos doing it. Just experience. That's all I can say. A few times it's going to fall. Eventually you'll get the proper wrist motion. It will never fall out. As for keeping food warm, look, it really depends what you're doing. So for example, with kebabs, it's going to be very hard to keep it warm without drying it out. Now, what I would do, I wouldn't really do it in the restaurant because we cook to order anyway. And I haven't cooked at home in a long, long time. I would say in like 10 years. But what I would do, for example, with kebabs, if you want to keep them warm, get some melted butter, heat it up, put that on your kebabs, and then basically just put a piece of Lebanese bread on it to keep it warm. You can put it into the oven at a very low temperature. That butter will keep it moist. If there's a specific dish, just let me know. So Stephen Virasamy, I'll use the same pomegranate molasses as you. Yeah, it's a very good one. Sasan Yazdani, do you cook gourmet sabzi? Yes, I do. As for the khoresht or curries in my restaurant, that is the most popular one, followed by fusinjun, surprisingly. Now, fusinjun we only added to the menu at lockdown, actually, because I had a few customers ask me for it. And it's turned out to be one of the most popular sellers. Now, there's a lot of reasons for this. I mean, the combination is very unique. If you say to someone non-Persian, it's chicken, pomegranates, walnuts, they'll think, all right, it's very exotic. Whereas gourmet sabzi, okay, it's fried fresh herbs, it's lamb, it's kidney beans. All right, it's understandable. The description makes sense. You know what you're getting. Whereas the fusinjun is something completely unique. Stephen Virasamy, if you're ever in Kitchener, Ontario, let me know. I'll have you over lunch and give you the best tacos you've ever had. All right, I'm going to hold you to that. Yeah, I do have a lot of followers in Canada. There's a lot of YouTubers in Canada that I follow as well. So, look, hopefully one day I'll be able to go to Canada. That'll definitely be on my to-do list. I should say bucket list, actually. Definitely. Smugflux, Salam, you are great. Always look at your recipe for kebab kubide. Yummy. Best regards from Germany. Thanks for that. I'm glad you enjoy it. Kubide is one of my first older videos. And yeah, I wish I could redo it. But everyone seems to like it and they're happy with it. So I'll just leave it as is. Peace, Sivalingam. Hey, mate, I bought a little charcoal kettle, but the cooking is always inconsistent. I assume it's to do with the heat. Any tips? Look, with charcoal, you got to always maintain that temperature. In my restaurant, for example, it's natural gas. Once you turn the burner on, it always stays at that temperature. So that's one of the advantages there. I wouldn't really cook with coal in a restaurant, period. Not just because of that. Well, obviously, it's a lot. You got to keep on putting coal. That heat's going to keep on fluctuating. It's going to be very hard. Number two is the fire risk. There's a ridiculous fire risk cooking with charcoal in a restaurant. A lot of insurance companies in Australia, they won't even give you coverage if you're using charcoal or an open fire. So yeah, if you're doing it at home, look, you got to just keep consistent with that coal. You got to keep make sure it's hot, make sure it's burning. I mean, I remember when we used to cook with charcoal at home, sometimes it would be too hot, sometimes it would be too cold. If it's too cold with a mince kebab, it falls off the skewer. If it's too hot, it burns. You just got to really play around, move the skewers around, move the charcoal around, just see where it works well. Haizan says, are you Persian or do you just like Persian food? I'm Armenian. So my family is from Esfahan in Iran. So there's a big Armenian community there. So basically, our Armenian heritage has stayed with us, obviously, but the Persian culture is also in us as well. So Armenian food is a mixture of Persian food, Lebanese food, Turkish food, all over the Middle East, even Russian food. So it's not nothing completely different to Armenian cooking. So it's sort of in our blood as well. Yeah, obviously I do like Persian food. So yeah. Claude1234, all Middle Eastern food seems very similar. What are the differences between countries? Yes, that is true. A lot of the techniques are actually very similar. So there's a lot of Indian dishes, for example, that are very similar to Persian dishes. So kubide, for example, and seikh kebab, it's almost exactly the same, but the spices are different. So Persian food, we use a lot of red sumac, saffron, turmeric. Sometimes we use a bit of paprika. Turkish food, for example, a lot of garlic, a lot of chili, turmeric, Aleppo chili. So it's more on the spicy side. Same with Indian food. So you're using a lot more spices. So that's the main difference. It's just the flavor profiles that are completely different. Mr. B says, how many restaurants do you have? So we've got 2 family restaurants here in Sydney. The first is JAZZVEH Woodfired Pizza. We opened that in 2009. So it's been 12 years now. That's where we started from. The second one is ANAIS Taste of Persia, which is where I'm filming right now. You can see the Persian right there. So obviously it's a Persian restaurant. Here we opened in 2013. So it's been 8 years now. So pretty much I manage this one here, and my brother manages the Italian one, JAZZVEH, and my parents are between both places helping us out, and myself and my brother were also between both places helping each other out. So wherever's more busy, we'd run there, jump in there. So I do 7 days, 7 nights pretty much. Mr. Curry, hey Henry, greetings from Sweden. Your chicken tenders video is spot on. I've made it many times and it's a family favorite. Yeah, thank you very much. Chicken tenders, everybody likes chicken. I don't think anyone hates chicken, actually. Chicken does sometimes get a bit boring. I mean, there's only so much you can do with it. But everybody likes fried chicken. So, Ghostflyer. Hi, Henry. Been looking for some short, flat metal skewers to fit in my stovetop griddle. Any recommendations for Australian retailers? Look, that would depend on where you're located. In Sydney, for example, a lot of Middle Eastern supermarkets. So if you are in Sydney, if you go around Auburn, Parramatta, sort of Middle Eastern areas, most Middle Eastern supermarkets will carry those flat skewers. So if you want to send me a message, I'll let you know of a few places that I know. If not, jump on eBay, jump on Amazon. I've seen them on there, and they're perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with them. I did get mine once from Iran, but there's nothing special at all. Mr. B says, what is the dish called that is meat cooked in a pan? It's like kebab, but it's round and done in a skillet. You may be referring to Beryun, which is a Persian dish. Hopefully that is what you're referring to. Or it could be kebab tabai. So Beryun is basically you cook the lamb, then you mince it, and then you sort of recook it again in the pan. I haven't made a video on it. I've been wanting to. My dad really wants me to do that one. It's one of his favorite dishes. So I'll probably get him to help me out with that video one day. We'll collaborate with that one. If it's kebab tabai, I do have a video on my channel if you want to watch that one. AD says, have you ever thought of holding a live masterclass to teach cooking food and techniques? Look, a few people have asked me for that. A few people have actually wanted me to go to their house and help them out like that. Basically, it's more of a time thing. I'm always in the restaurants, from like 8 in the morning till right now it's midnight. So it's very hard for me to make time for that. And if I was to make time, I would need to get someone to cover me in the restaurants. And I would probably have to get about 2 people to cover me because I pretty much do everything. So, look, the thoughts are in my head. It's just a time thing for now. But, look, maybe one day. Stephen Virasamy says, asking about the Fusunjun again, how necessary is the curry powder? I bought a basic brand name at the grocery store. I've been omitting it because I heard people say it doesn't belong in it. Look, once again, that comes down to your demographics. So I don't put curry powder in mine anymore. I just put a touch of turmeric and a touch of cinnamon. So give that a go. Cinnamon makes a big difference. It adds a bit of a sweetness, and you need that in there. Like someone said before, it's tart, so you need that bit of sweetness. Once again, Bonafide Bloom, Jessica, I ate a herb that tasted like licorice or fennel in caramel rice, and it made everything taste like soap and perfume afterwards. Any ideas? You know what? The only thing I can think of is coriander, because people say that tastes like soap or perfume. But it tasted like licorice or fennel. It could have been a star anise, actually, if it was in caramel rice, which, yeah, it does have that sort of flavor. So, yeah, might be star anise or aniseed, something like that. Neil McDonald, apologies if asked, how's the lockdown affecting business last year? Yeah, I did get into this one just earlier. So, yeah, starting off, look, it was crazy. I mean, who would have thought we would be shut down like that? We did have the privilege of being able to do takeaway only, so it's not like we closed completely. I did unfortunately have to get my staff to not come in. And look, I mean, staff are like family. A lot of them have been with me for one of them has been over 10 years now. So it's very sad when you have to do that, but it's out of our control. Eventually, our government here did offer to pay the wages for our staff, as long as we give them shifts. So we were able to bring them all back, and the government did pay their wages. So look, that was very helpful. There was a lot of support from the Australian government here, both from federal and state level. So it didn't hit as hard as other people, and I'm sorry to say that, because this industry is hard. It's very, very hard. And something like that, like, it really affects your revenue. So I hope everyone is doing well, everyone's recovering. Taiba Said, hello Henry, I've tried many recipes of yours, love from India. Thank you, love to India as well. Mr. Curry, the YouTube videos must be time consuming. What's your motivation to run this channel? Is it to publicize your restaurants, or just for the YouTube ad income, or something else? Look, when I started YouTube, I never really wanted to. Actually, I never really thought it would get this big, actually. I used to actually joke around with my friends going, imagine one day I hit 100 subscribers, and I think I'm at about 321,000 now. Look, I started YouTube as a hobby. I wanted people to see what it's like from a chef's point of view to do my recipes and see what it's like, what I go through every day. So it's a hobby for me. I don't do it for money. I don't do it for... Well, obviously, I publicize the restaurants through it, definitely. I've had a fair few people come from YouTube to my restaurants. A lot of them are located overseas, so I can't expect everyone to come. But that might come in handy if I ever open a restaurant in the States, like a lot of you ask. But yeah, look, it's just a hobby for me, so that's my motivation. I just like helping you guys out. And the fact that you all like the videos, that's the support. That's all I need. Mukafella, do you have any recommendations for making Adana kebabs in a normal home oven? Is there anything specific which you need to do compared to a mangal? Mangal is the open fire grill, by the way, everybody. Look, if you're doing it at home in an oven, if you have a grill setting on your oven, use that. What I would really do is actually pan fry it on a medium to high heat. Reason being is the oven will actually dry the meat out. So if you're pan frying it, it's almost like an instant flash. So that's what I would recommend. If you are doing it in an oven on a bake setting, I'd go at a higher temperature. So I would go around 220 Celsius, and probably will take about 10 to 15 minutes in there. So give that a go, but try to fry it if you can. Claude1234, you said Australian and American food was different. What were some standouts? I lived 2 years in Australia, and I noticed beetroot in burgers, more Asian Indian food, meat pies, and more lamb. Okay, look, it's completely different. Australian food is more British, okay? So like you mentioned, meat pies, sausage rolls, pasties, that sort of thing. Sorry. Where American food, you got almost everything. And the thing about American food is a lot of other cuisines have been Americanized. So when I was there, just trying to think of an example. First thing I had in America was Carl's Jr. actually. Now, in comparison to a fast food burger joint in Australia, it was amazing. Not to mention the big size cups you get there. So I was really happy about that. But the flavor profiles are completely different too. So, for example, in Australia, I know the health is very critical here about fast food. So if you come from America and try fast food here, it's going to taste completely different to over there. And I'm going to say America is much better. Beetroot in burgers, yeah, that is popular. We do have a big Asian and Indian culture here as well. So pretty much, I'll be honest, around me, I can easily count about 20 Indian restaurants, and I'm the only Persian restaurant. And there's probably about 5 Italian restaurants. So Indian food has a big influence in Australia, not just restaurants themselves, but even stalls. So even in little shopping centers, there's little stalls. So look, eventually we'll become part of the Australian culture too, and people will give and take ideas from each culture and come up with new things. Where are we? So I'm that guy, you know what I mean. No question, thanks for your recipes. Use them to cook for my family and housemates a lot. Keep it up. Thank you very much for that. I'm glad you enjoy them. Stephen Virasamy, do you follow Yotam Ottolenghi? He's so good. No, I don't, but I'm going to copy that and I'll check that out. Yanis Haniotakis, greetings from the States. Hello, thanks for joining in. Bonafide Bloom, Jessica, thanks for coming on and answering these questions. It's so nice to hear someone experienced in the professional kitchen. Thank you very much. It's always nice to hear from you. I'll probably chat to you after again. Stephen Virasamy, being a pro chef, do you have time for family? Look, that's actually a very tough one and a very heartbreaking one. So those of you that know me more on a personal level will know I had a girlfriend about 3 or 4 years ago, and we were together for about 1.5 years. The advantage I had was she actually worked for me as well, so we'd see each other all day and all night, okay? But I'm sort of committed to the restaurant, to the hospitality. I sort of have my own dreams about making it in the restaurant industry. So I sort of don't have the time for relationships. There was a stage where that would upset me, but I've really come to just accept it. I can't see myself married or be a dad or anything like that. It's very hard for me to see me in that position, just with the dreams and everything I'm doing right now. I'm not saying that will never happen, but I just don't feel like I'll have the time for it. Like my bro, I have a niece and a nephew, and honestly, before them, I'd never wanted to have kids. I didn't want anything to do with kids, but they sort of changed me. Like I can never get enough of them. I enjoy always hanging out with them. You know, it really changes you, and maybe one day I'll change my mind. Who knows? So I do live with my parents. So obviously I see them when I go home and in the morning. I do see my brother all the time too, because obviously we work between both restaurants. AD says, are you single? Asking for a friend. Yes, I am. Stephen Virasamy, I see you wear a cross. Are you still able to participate in church activity as a pro chef, or is life too busy? Look, being Armenian Orthodox, we have 2 churches here in Sydney. Our church is around 30 minutes away from me, so it's very hard for me to find time to actually attend. I'll obviously attend Christmas time, Easter time, and the odd occasion, but my church does do live stream, and you know, I just watch that. I do recite my prayers. I do bless the restaurant. I do burn bahur in the restaurant. So I still try and keep with those roots. Ghostfly says, do you make kibbeh? I'm considering giving it a go. I don't make it to serve in the restaurant. I have done a video on it if you want to check it out on my channel. Look, give it a go. It's not that hard, actually. It's pretty straightforward. Just follow the recipe. You'll get the hang of it. Nothing hard about that. Taiba Said says, I have tried sujuk of your recipe first 2 times. It was, first 2 times it was awesome, but last time I made it was stretchy. What's the reason? All right, stretchy. I would probably say it hasn't been cured long enough. So depending on how long you've left it, I would leave it a bit longer if it's stretchy. It needs to be more on the dry side. Yanis Haniataka says, my palate suffers here in the States. I grew up in Greece. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Yeah, the culinary world is very interesting. Nick K says, Henry, what is your favorite utensil and why? You know what? My favorite utensil is a rubber silicone spatula. You know why? Because you can scrape a bowl and literally get everything out of the bowl. You can use it when you're making sauces, mousses, dough, anything. So I would say that's what I use most of the time, actually, other than a knife, of course. You need the knife. Beta Korami says, best regards from Germany. Thank you very much. Hello to Germany. Mukafella17 says, if you don't like too much spice, do you recommend any other ingredients to use for kebabs and chicken? Look, it will depend on what you're doing. So say if you're doing a chicken kebab, lemon and chicken always go well together. So you can keep it simple, do lemon juice, garlic, salt, pepper, olive oil. If you want to add a touch of spice, add a touch of paprika or a touch of turmeric. If you're doing lamb, you can pretty much follow the same recipe. Do yogurt, salt, pepper. Use red sumac. It isn't a spicy spice. It's more on the tangy side. As for beef, look, I find beef always needs a bit of spice. So I'll always use paprika with beef. Neil McDonald says, do you use bottled lemon juice and garlic paste in the jars? Or did you just prepare them like that for the videos? Look, lemon juice I import. So we get massive cases of it from Iran. The lemon juice is actually very pure there. The lemon juice here in Australia, for example, is all reconstituted, mixed with water. I actually ordered 1 bottle from our supplier that said pure lemon juice on it from Greece, product of Greece. When you read the label, there's no lemon juice. It's water and citric acid. So, look, just read the labels. If not, just make it yourself. As for the garlic paste, so we do make our own toum here, which is a Lebanese garlic sauce. So I use a lot of garlic cloves. So when I get the garlic cloves, I just crush them all up and have them there ready to go because we use a lot. Middle Eastern food and garlic, it's always gets together. Neil McDonald, I made your toum recipe and it was bloody awesome. My daughter loved it and put it on everything. That's great to hear. Actually, one of my customers came in the other day and he wanted to make toum. And I'm like, oh, you should jump on YouTube, check there for a recipe. And he did. He came back and he saw my recipe. And he's like, oh, that was bloody amazing. I'm like, yeah. So I gave him some of mine as well, just to try. The control key, I love your videos. How long have you been cooking? Look, professionally, I started in 2009. So that's been 12 and a half years now. As a kid, I can't say I cooked like crazy stuff, just basic things. But I love to bake more than cook. So when I was a kid during school holidays, I never went to childcare. We had a relative that used to, look after me day to day. And they were an elderly couple. And they were Armenian. And they would love to bake. And they made the best baklava. And that baklava is still in my mind. So I used to actually watch them make stuff all day. So baklava, burek, things like that I remember since then. But my most favorite was pilaf. Because obviously being Persian Armenian, we have the Persian rice, which is more on the dry side. Whereas the pilaf, which is used Armenian, Turkish, Lebanese cuisine, is more sticky and buttery. And I will never forget that. It was the greatest thing ever. Till now, I can't do it the same way as they used to. Nick K, same, it's the best. Yeah, I agree. Farvid says, bro, Henry, it's almost midnight. What's going on? Yeah, it's actually 16 minutes till midnight. Look, I always have a lot of energy, unfortunately. That's just happens when you're a chef. When I go to lie down, all I can think is, oh, what do I need to order tomorrow? What do I need to prep tomorrow? Do I have enough stuff for tomorrow? Your brain just keeps on working. It's hard to get knocked out. Lately, I've started infusing lavender oil in my room, and it really knocks you out. So give that a try, anyone. Stephen Virasamy. I've got a meat smoker. What kind of dishes can you recommend? Some dishes I can use with the Tregear. Look, leave that with me for now. My brother does have a smoker. I have been wanting to actually borrow that to do some recipes, some slow cooked recipes. So we'll work on that soon. Stephen Virasamy again. What are some of the techniques we need to master? What we want to get further in Middle Eastern cooking? Look, techniques wise, play around with your spices. Give them all a try. See what you like. See what you can combine and come up with a new thing. That'll be all there is to techniques. Or else, other than that, I mean, there's a hand skewering with the mince kebabs. You can keep on practicing that. It'll fall off the skewer a few times. Just keep on practicing. You'll get there. That's how I got there. The kubi that I used to actually do here when I first started, I couldn't do any ridges on it, and they were about that thick, more like that. And when I look at the photos now, I'm embarrassed. But practice makes perfect. That's all there is to it. Mr. Z, hi mate, no real questions. Just wanted to say I enjoy seeing your videos pop up in my subs. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much. Thanks for the support. Stephen Virasamy, how long can saffron water sit in the fridge for? Look, saffron water, I'll go through it very quickly here, so I've never really had to worry about it going off or anything. It shouldn't really. The longer you leave it, the more stronger the flavor and aroma will get. But I wouldn't really keep it for more than, say, 1 or 2 months. If you're keeping it in the fridge, that's fine. If you're keeping it at room temperature, you might have some issues. Steph M, hey mate, greetings from London, England. Been watching you for a few years now and love your recipes, which I've made a few of now. Keep doing what you do, mate. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, it's been a long time actually. It's been almost 9 years that I've started YouTube. So thanks for the support. Hopefully I'll be able to visit London one day. Robert Bastagian says, whenever I make gamer kebab, I cannot make it stick to the white skewers. Falls off as soon as I put it in the fire. Look, with the mince kebabs, I do have a video on it on my channel. It's mince kebab tricks or tips. Go check that out because there's a few variables that you need to look at. Look, the most common one I would say is the kebab is at room temperature, and when you put it onto a grill, it will slowly melt off the skewer. So you need to put it into the fridge, make sure it's nice and cold, and put it onto a hot fire. If the fire is too warm, once again, it's going to melt and it's going to fall off. Other than that, guys, there's so many other things. Like, you need to make sure your mince is very fresh. You need to make sure it has enough fat in it so it sticks together. If you're using a lean mince, it's not going to work. So check out that video. You'll see a few different things in it, and maybe it'll give you some insight on what to do. Rami Matar, bro, once I eat prawns gravy with rice, but I don't know the name of the dish because the restaurant closed. Can you make that or tell me what is the name? Prawns gravy with rice. It was creamy yellow sauce with prawns. Look, I wouldn't really know. If I had an idea what sort of cuisine it was or country it was from, it might help me out. But I don't know. Just reading that, I'm thinking something like a coconut turmeric sort of yellow sauce with prawns. So, that could be Malaysian, it could be Thai, it could be something around there. Stephen Virasamy, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. Thank you very much. No worries. I appreciate it. P. Sivalingam, what do you season the white rice with at an ANAIS? It tastes great by itself. Look, the rice that we serve in the restaurant, it's very simple. So we season it with salt when we're cooking it, and obviously we put saffron on top. That's all there is to it. So very straightforward and simple. But one thing that's important about that is I soak the rice. So by soaking it, you're getting rid of that starch, or that starch has smell and flavor to it. You don't want that. So you wash that out. Bookerfellow 17. I'm a terrible cook, but me and my mate did your Adana recipe and it was great. Thanks for the inspiration. Thank you very much. I remember the Adana video because it was one of my first videos that actually went viral. And I was really surprised. And, that really gave me a lot of inspiration to keep on going. Thanks for that video. Steph M says, I'm a London taxi driver. If you're ever over here, I'll give you a tour around gratis. Look, I'm definitely going to keep that in mind. I definitely need a tour around there. I do have a lot of friends and followers in London, actually. So, not just London, it's South UK, I should say. So, yeah, that's definitely something. I've always wanted to see London. And the fact that it's English-speaking there makes life easier too. And, I mean, you guys drive on the same side of the road as Australia too, so that would make my life easier. Stephen Virasamy, we don't eat lamb in our house. Wife doesn't like it. Is that a big barrier to getting into Middle Eastern food? Look, no, it's not. A lot of people don't eat lamb. There was a time here in Australia where lamb was almost unheard of. Now, I'm talking back to when I was a kid. Lamb was so cheap because nobody would eat it. So, look, if you're going to start with beef. There's nothing wrong with it. Claude1234. Sounds like shrimp etouffee popular in New Orleans. Yeah, you could be right about that, actually. Definitely give it a try. The control key, can you do a budget meal prep cooking for college students? Look, I've been wanting to do more sort of simple videos like that you can sort of prep ahead of time and you don't have to eat straight away. So I'll definitely keep that in mind. Thanks for reminding me. Travis C says, are you Gemini? And is there a non-Middle Eastern dish that you would consider a favorite? No, I'm a Cancer, actually. I think last year they said something that the star signs are changing, so I don't know, but I'm a Cancer. A non-Middle Eastern dish that you would consider a favorite. Look, my sort of go-to when I sort of go out to restaurants and stuff would be a burger. After a burger, I would always go for something like a steak. So I always go for meat dishes. Mohammed Houchar, have you guys got veggie options? So I'm assuming in the restaurant. Look, in the Italian restaurant, we have a lot of veggie options, a lot of vegetarian pizzas, risottos, pastas, and other sorts of things. Here at ANAIS at the Persian restaurant, we have about 4 different vegetarian curries. They're vegan as well. And, we do salads as well. We do different entrees, different dips as well. So, yeah, we do have a fair few. Stephen Virasamy, are you better than Gordon Ramsay at Middle Eastern food? Look, Gordon Ramsay is my idol. I will never say I'm better than him. But, I would be interested to see his take on it because I watch all of his videos. So he does have a good understanding, on spices and everything. I did actually see a video of him on YouTube where he couldn't actually skewer a Sikh kebab in an Indian restaurant. So it just goes to show one of the greatest chefs in the world can't do it. But he will be able to eventually. It just comes with practice. That's just how I got there. Yanis Haniatakis, I'm under the impression that Australia must have a wide range of culinary influences due to location. Look, I definitely agree with that. So obviously I was born here and I went to school in Australia, in Perth, I should say. So Perth at that time, it was very westernized. Like, sort of foreign influences were almost unheard of, from my experiences anyway. The interesting thing is, because I was growing up in an Armenian household, and we had the Middle Eastern culture in us. So when I'd go to school and people would be eating meat pies and sausage rolls and Vegemite sandwiches and things like this, I was always confused and puzzled because here am I going home every night eating rice and curries and, the weekend kebabs. And it was just completely different. So there's a lot of British influence in the Australian culture. But as I sort of grew older and became more Australianized, as I should say, I was very surprised on what I was missing out on because, look, I mean, meat pie sausage rolls, it's something very basic, but it's also something very filling and satisfying. As for culinary influences now, look, there's everything here. So I'm sort of out in the suburbs here, but if you go to sort of our city here in Sydney, you can find there's a Chinatown, there's everything. So yeah, there's been a lot of influence here, which is good. It's a good thing. Can't have everything the same. Jesse James says, hi everyone. Hey Jesse. Neil McDonald, how similar is Armenian and Georgian food? Khachapuri is a favorite of mine. Yeah, khachapuri is very popular in Armenia, actually. I was watching a video the other day on YouTube of a guy that just travels the streets through Armenia, and there was a bakery that sold khachapuri, and it was famous for it. So there is a lot of similarities. I've never really looked into it too much, but there's a lot of similarities between both our cultures. Yanis Haniyataka says, very British. Yep, agreed. Stephen Virasimon says, what kind of cuisine do you struggle to make the most? Look, I can't say I'm the best when it comes to Asian food. I always like to give it a go. But Asian food, like I mentioned before, it's not just ingredients, it's the techniques. So techniques are very, very, every time I watch them, it's crazy. So even when I watch like Japanese chefs on YouTube, the techniques is amazing. Okay, who's next? Claude1234, you should make a video making the Australian dish fairy bread. Yeah, you know what? I actually wanted to do that at one stage, just sort of as a gag, but maybe I'll do that. It's always satisfying growing up. Every kid's party, growing up in Australia had fairy bread. If anyone doesn't know what fairy bread is, get a slice of toast bread, untoasted, butter it, and put hundreds and thousands of sprinkles on it. Farvid says, do you speak Farsi? Look, I never really learned how to speak Farsi as a kid. My parents never really taught me. But I can sort of easier understand Farsi. So if somebody's talking to me slowly, I can understand. If I'm watching a movie or I'm listening to music, we always play Persian music in the restaurant, and I can sort of understand it. But if I was approached and was sort of asked to speak Persian or Farsi, I would sort of struggle. I could say basic words to get around. Excuse me. The last few times that I did visit Iran, I did learn enough to get by, sort of go to the shops and, things like that, but not fluently. But I'm still learning. Bruce says, would love to see a take on biryani. Yeah, I did actually do a video on biryani a couple of years ago, so that is on my channel, Lamb Biryani. Definitely watch that. Stephen Virasimon says, what are the most popular dishes in your restaurant? I need to start my list. So look, that would depend. In the Italian restaurant at JAZZVEH, pizzas are signature. So our most popular pizza is the JAZZVEH pizza. So this one has a special JAZZVEH sauce base. I can't tell you the secrets of that, sorry. But basically it's a tomato base with certain spices. And on that one, we've got the mozzarella cheese, we've got Spanish onion, eggplant, lamb, walnuts, feta, parsley, and red sumac. So that is our signature dish, very popular, and it always smells amazing. So keep that one in mind. As for ANAIS, the Persian restaurant, we have a dish called the Feast for Two, which is the most popular dish, and I think like 90% of the time that's what people order, if they're coming in twos, Basically, it's a dish with saffron rice, and we've got a skewer of kubide, skewer of chicken juje, skewer of lamb chenje, and a skewer of beef chenje. And that comes with the vegetables and Shirazi salad and everything. So basically, it's the entire meal in one. You wouldn't need to order anything else. Booster says, sorry, I already read that one. Alex Q335 Luigi says Burger King is much better than Neil McDonald. I see we got a troll. So Saeed Ahmad says, "Hi Henry, I've been following you from the beginning and love all your recipes. To this day, nothing beats your Adana and chicken kebabs. People to this day still don't believe I make these at home." Well, I'm glad to hear that. It is one of the most popular videos. Obviously, the Adana was the most popular. Everything else sort of came after that. When I noticed how popular that got, it inspired me to do all different sorts of kebabs. So the Persian lamb kubde followed next, and then so did the juje, chicken juje. Okay. Farvid says, "What's the meaning of ANAIS?" ANAIS was the ancient goddess of love. So it goes by a few names too: ANAIS, Anahit, Anahita. So all those different names. Excuse me. Farvid says, "And JAZZVEH." JAZZVEH is the name of the coffee pots they use to make Turkish-style coffee. So in Armenian, we say JAZZVEH. It's also known as JAZZVEH. Busto says, "If I was to use canned chickpeas for my falafel, should I dry them out first?" Look, definitely dry them out, but I would always suggest against using canned chickpeas. So use dried if you can. It makes a big difference. Kanza A says, "Are you single? You are so cute." Yes, I am single. Thank you very much. Okay, guys, so we're just at the 1 hour mark now. Just crossed midnight now. So I'll probably end it here for this live stream. Thanks everyone for joining in. It means a lot. I hope I helped all you guys out. I'll probably do one again, say next week. If you do have any questions, you can message them to me on Instagram, or you can send it to me on YouTube, or leave it in the comments. And I can add those in as I do these. I just got another one. So Claude1234, have you used lima beans for falafel instead of chickpeas like Egyptians do? I personally haven't, but I know of a few people that do 50-50. So half lima beans and half chickpeas. Okay, thanks again everyone for joining in, and I'll see you all next time.